Okay, so you're from Doylestown. How do you end up in LA in the Groundlings?
That's another funny, crazy story. So I sort of created an opportunity to move to LA. I was looking for anything. I was in New York, and it wasn't. I'm not a good stand-up guy. I wanted to be like Saturday Night Live, Second City, that kind of person. And there was nothing like that in New York. And so this opportunity came up, and I took it. And I was tending bar at the Troubadour, which was a famous bar. It still is in LA. And I happened to pick up an LA Weekly. I should have prefaced this with the only person I knew when I moved to LA was a cocaine dealer. Never my thing. Never my thing. But I knew him from tending bar out in Long Island in the summers during college. And it was like, okay, I'll give him a call. It's somebody to talk to. So we sort of hung out a little bit. I got this job at Two Door, and I'm reading the LA Weekly about the Groundlings. And it's about Phil Hartman and Pee Wee Herman. And it's just like, I think this is for me. I think this, so I want to see the show. And there was no, buying tickets online. So I went to the Groundlings. I bought a ticket for the Saturday night show. Then the drug dealer calls me and he said, "Hey, we got a party to go to on Saturday night." I just moved. I was like, okay, great, a party. I'll meet some people. That sounds great. So, but I go to the Groundlings. And like I said, it's Phil Hartman, it's Paul Rubens, it's Pee Wee Herman, the guy named John Paragon, who's a Groundlings legend, Edie McClurg, who was the secretary in Ferris Bueller. And I always compare it to kind of like a religious experience. For me, I was just blown away. There's 99 seat theater, and it's just this crazy show. Hartman's doing Chick Hazard and Pee Wee, and Pee Wee was just one of his characters. I'm just blown away. I leave the theater just like, wow, I got to figure out how to get there. I go to the party. Who shows up at this party but Phil Hartman? Oh my God! Nice to meet you. I just saw your show. Just crazy. And how do you get in there? And he kind of said in that voice, like, well, you got to take a class. I think there's a class starting Monday. Here, call this number and talk to this guy who was Tom Maxwell. Well, it turned out there had just had a cancellation and a class was starting on Monday. And all he said to me was, bring a check. That's how easy it was to get into the Groundlings back then. Now it's like the niece I mentioned who works for John Lithgow just got into the lower company at the Groundlings, which is a huge deal. But anyway, that's how I found the Groundlings. I took class there, and literally on the first night, it was just, doing basic improv games. I had found my home. But it was all through cocaine.
Yeah. So you go into first class. Now, is it when you take the class, do they have like you have to take 8 classes? How did you get momentum in the group?
I think it just came to me. I'm not bragging. It just came to me. I just really I think from day one, even the guy, Tom Maxwell, who was my teacher, but also the director at the time, thought like this guy's got some chops, and he asked me to be a stage manager because that was another way to learn like how it's going on the show and how the show works and get to know people in the company so that when you come up for a vote, but you do back then we just had 3 levels. We had beginning, intermediate, and advanced, and then you do a show in your advanced class, and it just killed. Another woman in my class who got in was a woman named Tress MacNeille, who's like the queen of voiceovers. If you look in a zillion animated shows, you'll see Tress MacNeille. And we just had good stuff together and separately, and so we both got in. And then like 2 weeks later, I'm on stage with Paul Rubens and Phil Hartman and all those people. So it took me a year to do it. Now it takes like 5 years to do it. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But back then it was a year, and I got in and was there I got in 1980 and I stayed till 86.
Coop's Common Corner.